Hi, welcome back to the channel. My name's Adrian, and this is my ZineQuest Day 17 video, where I'm going to take a zine off Kickstarter, which for the whole of February, they are doing, I think there's probably like 90 odd zines on there now, so every day I've been looking at a different zine, and this one today, I say this most of the days, they got me excited. I wouldn't be talking about it if it didn't, but this is a really good theme for me. It's a Grimdark 15th century setting. It's got vampires, it's got 3 different religious factions that are doing this anti-crusade to kill vampires. It very much feels like it's written by someone that loves Warhammer Fantasy role-playing, that sort of world, and it all the while uses the Mork Borg, however you want to pronounce it, system. So let's just jump straight over to Kickstarter, and I'll give you, is it Sanguis Sanctus, a Grimdark fantasy TTRPG. The year is 1419. X, whatever year you want to call it in there. Cleave your way through the vampires Anti-Crusade in this Grimdark compatible with Mork Borg. So it is fully funded. What is it, €250 as a funding goal, and it's sat at 554. 43 backers, 16 days to go at time of recording. There is a cool video in here, but I'm not going to show it because every time I do, I get copyright struck because of the sound. We'll just get into the background for you. So the year 1490X. The never-ending night has swept across the world. Innumerable legions of vampires rampage the lands of mankind, conquering kingdom upon kingdom. While humanity has made incredible advances, often at the cost of the lives of hundreds of innocents, nothing seems to give mortals an advantage against the demonic foe. Every sacrifice seems futile. The bloodshed never ends, and this never-ending night. This is Sanguis Sanctus. What is it? So it's a grim, dark, fantasy tabletop RPG where you cleave your way through demonic vampire invasions of the known world. Inspired by real-world religions and folklore, it is a dark, rules-light narrative game compatible with MÖRK BORG, intended for mature audiences. Probably should say only, doesn't really need it. In this, you and your friends play as survivors coming from all sorts of backgrounds, faiths and factions, united to endure a world under the vampire anti-crusade. You will carry the light into the besieged cities of mortals or succumb to the darkness spread by the fanged demons. It's an A5 rules light that uses Mork Borg enriched new classes, weapons, mechanics, monsters, random tables, adventure locations, and an art lore heavy setting. It's brought to you by the game designer and artist, Novcanto Manfredi? Possibly not, who I assume then is designed Howl Green, Strigger, and something I'm not even going to pronounce, alongside comic book artist Emmanuel Parascandolodo. Again, I'm really sorry about this. Major inspirations for the game are Trench Crusade, which I need to get a copy of. I think that started funding on Kickstarter already. Castlevania, which was a really good computer game. Blasphemous, don't know what that is, or Claymore, or Berserk. But I will be looking for this after this. From Software Games, Lords of the Fallen, and Mike Mignola's works. Get an idea of some of the artwork here. It's a really cool art style. It's just, I assume this is the vampire flying over the legions of soon-to-be men here. So it's A5, 36 pages. It's quick and easy OSR rules compatible with Mork Borg, rules for firearms and the vampire contagion. The art and lore heavy setting. We've got 4 thematic classes, adventure locations based on real-world places and theatres of chronicle, random tables, a new spell system, a bestiary of both vampiric creatures and monsters, and a living setting for all creatures out there. So it's set in an alternate timeline and the final years of the 15th century. It takes place in the torn apart version of our world where demonic vampires have taken on anti-crusade to conquer and enslave humanity. While mortals have made great advancements in the ways of war, often at the cost of hundreds of innocents, they are unable to push back the demonic foe. Conflict and destruction rages in the corners of the world, and the bloodshed doesn't seem to be nearing its end. Our first crusade into the world takes us to the heart of the vampiric anti-crusade in Central Europe and the Mediterranean. The game will focus on specific locations for grim adventures called Theatres of Chronicles. So the Theatres of Chronicles we've got, so the first iteration features a free city of Hammamet, I think, the Kingdom of Naples in Italy, and, the city of Cesaren in the Polish Kingdom of Pomeranian. These locations will provide players with the backgrounds to their base stories. The games masters, on the other hand, will have a simple and brief overview with the ideas, plot hooks, and locations and NPCs. So we have got 4 factions in here. We've got the Holy Church of our Lord. So born after the beginnings of the vampire Anti-Crusade, the Holy Church of our Lord was founded to gather all the surviving Christians under the banners of the Vatican Church. Thanks to the lineage of the Christian-aligned kingdoms, they bear a strong military force and plentiful resources across Europe. However, their fractured force and the sub-factions they are a fractured force with sub-factions more concerned with technological advances than the safety of humans and a paranoid inquisition. Sounds a bit like modern day. We've got the vampire faction here. So in 1477, the first Hellgate opened in Wallachia, which is where Vladimir Tipis was born, wasn't he? Obviously, Dracula became Dracula in the novel, releasing thousands upon thousands of demonic vampires into the world and starting a conflict known as the Anti-Crusade. The vampires are a category of otherworldly beings, many coming from the dimension that aligns with the human concept of hell, some even capable of turning humans into vampiric spawn of their own. Structures and as an efficient nation, the vampires are led by a towering 6 matriarchs who seek to conquer and enslave the world. While their brutal and sadistic nature is widely known, some mortals choose to willingly follow the vampires and march alongside them, as you do. So we've got the Great Caliphate of the Pilgrims of Bakar, I think, often abbreviated to the Great Caliphate. It's a union of nations of the Mediterranean who joined together to mount resistance against the vampires. While they fought to be safe in the walls of their magnificent cities, isolation proved to be a strong foe and ally to the vampire menace. To counter this, the Caliphate established long caravans of pilgrims travelling from city to city and bringing in soldiers, academics and religious envoys to all those that need. However, while this provided the Great Caliphate with a strong diplomatic relation with the allies like the Holy Church, it opened the door to infighting and tensions between the cities, which vampires won't hesitate to use against them. And then finally, we've got the Penitents. Following the major defeats in the Holy City in the Central Europe, many lost their faith with the ability of leaders to counter the vampire menace. Many of these discontented and desperate mortals decided to found the Penitents, a self-organised militia to take back the cities of mankind. While the first composed the scant Christian fighters, the faction quickly became a warband of thousands, except in their numbers beyond the capable of holding a sharp object. Often led by religious zealots, the Penitents are known for their brutality both in and out of the battlefield, which sometimes made even more ruthless the Holy Church Inquisitors look away. These are just some of the major factions, with many more scattered around. So we've got some disclaimer here. So it takes inspiration from real-world religions. It is intended to be a work of fiction and enjoyed as such. No disrespect meant to any of the faiths and religions. So the goal of this project is to get enough funds to do a European print run, which we have done. So it's €350, so it is there. If we get to €500, we're going to get some new classes. 666 will give us a solo mode, which we're desperately going to want to see. We've got the credits here, and it's human-made, no AI in here. Fulfillment's going to come in. Say, well, never really worry about this. We've got some soundtracks here, so let's just have a look. How much is it going to cost us from a reward? We've got a PDF copy which comes in €8, which is about £7. We've got Canadian, US and UK print on demand copy only. So that's probably fulfilling through Lulu. Yeah, it's going to go through Lulu then, because it's not drive-through RPG. So you get a physical print on demand copy and digital PDF copy as well. You'll receive the link to use on Lulu to do the book at whatever cost it may be, which is going to cost you about $8. Obviously, you're going to get the additional cost and shipping from Lulu. If you want an EU physical copy, it's going to cost you €16. European Union only. And then we've got a physical limited edition book for physical and European Union only, which is about €35. Okay, so that's I guess that's going to be the only downside for, well, anybody outside of Canada, US and the UK. Hopefully, I'd like to see this. It would be quite nice if it sort of puts something basically saying, you know, once funded, it's going to be available on DriveThruRPG for print, and you know, you can grab it at a later date, because it does look like a really interesting sort of project. I like the thought of, and I'm hoping you can play the vampiric side as well, because you know, vampires, always good fun to play. But if not, it does seem, you know, you've got 3 good little factions there that have got their own sort of backstories. There's going to be a little bit of intrigue in between. It sort of heavily hints that there's going to be more factions on here, all wrapped into that sort of grimdark 15th century Warhammer fantasy role-playing, Solomon Kane kind of brutal thing. But actually, I think it's probably... I think it's grimdark in that essence, but I don't think we're going to get that flintlock pistol, because it's that 15th century. So we're going to be just purely swords, things like that. I don't think we're going to quite have had the black powder stuff coming in yet, but we'll see when it lands. But yeah, another exciting project that I'm bringing you. If you're enjoying this sort of videos, please like, share, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to my main channel as well, and I'll see you back tomorrow with a slightly different ZineQuest video. So thanks for watching.